Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all an update to my Cardfight Vanguard Gravidia deck profile. Wanted to update the Gravidia deck with the new format changes, and as I've been doing more playtesting, I really miss the original style of the Gravidia deck, not focusing on the mask setup, which I also think is something that a lot of people are realizing with some of the decks from the mask support series, that they either have better versions coming out, like Zorga with Divine Skill, and then just being able to go back to other decks like sticking to the grade 4 Magnolia or just, the grade 3 Greedon. So I want to do the same with Gravidia Nordlinger being the main focus still. I feel it's just a lot more consistent in its playstyle. Plus, we also had the new awesome art from the triple booster series, so if I get any more from that set, I'll definitely be updating decks as well, because just adding them into the deck makes me want to look and try again with the cards. But with the new support for the format, we do have 54 cards to work with, 4 in the ride deck and 50 in the main. So let's go ahead and get started. So we'll go ahead and start off with the ride deck. Our starter is Gravidia Dellen. When rode upon, if you went second, draw a card. Our grade 1 is Gravidia Wells. When placed on Vanguard, you look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose any number of meteorite cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So the meteorites are a very important part of the Gravidia deck, running a good number of the different meteorite cards for all of our setups. So just being able to add multiple copies off of Wells, along with the draw from our starter if we went second. Our grade 2 is Gravidia Barringer. When placed on Vanguard or rear, if you have a meteorite in your order zone, Soul Blast 3, draw a card, and this unit gets +5 until end of turn. So you just have the draw power that this card can provide, even if you call it onto the rear guard circle, which we are running a few more copies of this card in the actual main deck for backup as well. So just another card to consider to use for the Vanguard ride as well, because every time you use a meteorite, you do get a soul charge also, with our grade 3 being Gravidia Nordlinger, along with the copy that we are running in the ride deck. We also run 3 additional copies in the main deck as well. I was, running less copies of this when we had the mask copy, but since it's the main focus again, and you want to focus on the Persona ride, you have the Gravidia Nordlinger. When placed on Vanguard, search your deck for up to 2 meteorite cards, put them into your order zone, and shuffle your deck. And on the Vanguard, when this unit attacks, counter +1, put 1 or more meteorites from your order zone into the drop zone until the end of that battle. This unit gets +15 power. You put 3 or more, it gets critical +1. If you put 5 or more, your trigger effects activate twice. Being able to activate a critical trigger and then a critical trigger again can then just give you the added pressure needed for your rear guard circles to be able to attack against your opponent, depending on the trigger reveals you get, and also making it that much more scary for your opponent to guard into attack, because we do have the over trigger Elder Breath, which along with the double effect of our criticals can also do so with this card also. And for the other grade 3s in the deck, 4 copies of Gravidia Baku Birito. When placed on rear, Soul Blast 1, choose a meteorite card from your drop, put it into your order zone. So the meteorites we use off of Nordlinger can be recycled with Baku Birito. And on the rear guard, if your opponent's rear guard was retired this turn, which would be from our Vanguard skill, if this unit gets +5, if it's 3 or more, we're retired, it gets critical +1. So also just a way for your opponent to not want to invest their resources onto the field. So 4 copies of this backup grade 3 as well, just giving you more power as well, and just being able to keep this card in the rear guard to gain the additional critical and power just when something is retired. For the grade 2s, I run 2 copies of Gravidia Shergo. Now the big thing with our numbers is we can't fully max out on playsets of cards, because a good chunk of the cards in the deck do have to be taken up by the meteorites themselves. On rear guard with Shergo, Soul Blast 2, once per turn, choose up to 5 meteorite cards from your drop, return them to your deck, and shuffle it. If you return 1 or more, this card gets +5,000. If you return 3 or more, it gets +5,000. For 5 or more, 5,000. Again, this is just a recycle card to be able to consistently reuse our meteorites when we ride, Nordlinger, because then we just place 2 automatically whenever it's placed on the Vanguard circle. Running 2 more copies of Gravidia Barringer in the main deck as well. It has the Soul Blast 3 draw, which once again, you Soul Blast potentially, if you wish, every time you activate one of your Neatness Meteor Showers. So along with that, you also have the, if your dropper order zone has 5 or more or set orders, it gets +5,000, making it a 15k attacker that can go pretty much toe-to-toe with a good majority of your opponent's units on their rear guard circle if they didn't get any power on their own. And then also 2 copies of Gravidia Stanner. On the rear guard and guard circle, if you're dropping Ord Zone, have a total of 5 or more set orders. This unit gets plus 5,000 power and 5,000 shield. So just being a 10k interceptor can help, but once again, just the additional power that provides, the only thing that's different with it. And Beringer is the draw power you can get off of this card for the Soul Blast of 3 and the additional shield on top of the power. For the grade 1s, I run 3 copies of Gravidia Claxton on rear guard. When this unit boosts to Vanguard with Nordlinger and its card name, counter +1, discard a card from your hand, choose one of your Vanguards, and it gets on the Vanguard circle. If no trigger units were put into your trigger zone this turn, it gets drive +1 and at the end of that battle. So then, this is just more of a guarantee that you at least get 1 trigger unit for you to be able to make use of Gravidia Nordlinger's full card skills of being able to activate triggers twice. You'll have the triple drive option just for the discard of 1. So if you do get a trigger, you don't get that additional drive, but it's just that guarantee that you definitely do need it to fully benefit off of the playstyle of Gravidia Nordlinger. And also 2 copies of Gravidia B. When placed on rear, if your Ord Zone has 3 or more meteorites, counter +1, draw a card, choose the 1 meteorite card from your hand, and put it into your Ord Zone. So this can give you the 5 needed setup, or if we're using one of our other meteorites for that 5 setup, like Falling Hell Hazard, giving us 5 to then fully invest in our Gravidia Nordlinger's card ability. And then lastly, for the grade 1s, 4 copies of Violate Dragon, just the Sentinel of choice aesthetic-wise for the deck, and also having the guard restriction option. If you wanted to run Elementary Sanctitude, you could always drop a copy of this to put in a copy of that Blitz order. But for our other orders in the deck, we are running the 8 copies of Neatness Meteor Shower. You may have up to 16 copies of Neatness Meteor Shower in the deck. When this card's put into the Order Zone, you may soul charge 1. If it was put by your Vanguard's ability, you may draw a card. So you may soul charge. You still have the draw option if it was put by your Vanguard, but still, this can help to build up the soul power for some of your other Soul Blast abilities in the deck, and then just being able to draw into more cards thanks to cards like Gravidia Beringer, and then needing this card for the use of your Vanguard for the Meteorite play. But when it's put into the drop zone from the Order Zone, you choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire. And this is the retire effect that then you utilize with cards like Gravidia Bakubirito for the retire, the +5 power, and then the additional critical. And then the other order we run is the 4 copies of Falling Hell Hazard. If you would count the number of meteorite cards put into your Order Zone, this card may be regarded as 2. And when it's put into the drop zone from the Order Zone, bind this card, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. So while it is more of a costly bound power, it's still great to be able to count as 2, because then you just need the 3 initial meteors, and then 1 additional copy of this card to count for the full 5 for your Gravidia Nordlinger. And for the trigger lineup, we're going with the 8 critical, so 4 copies of Patrol Robo Decker Cup and 4 copies of Star Aggression Dragon. The pressure that you have with the 8 crit is just why I'm running it, so you have that added pressure to get a critical trigger. If you're at a full power Gravidia, then give 1 rear guard power if your opponent didn't, or be able to, if they go for the no guard, having the additional critical on your Vanguard, and then the 2 powered criticals off of this as well to hit for 3 damage with your Vanguard alone, which could potentially be the game-winning play right there. Also, 3 copies of Imperio for being able to activate a front trigger twice, just for more powered up units on the field. And for the heal lineup, 2 copies of Cardinal Prima Nabalim, the 1 copy of Creaking World, and the 1 Transient Causality. I still like running the ability cards in this deck. We do draw into a lot of cards, so just having some specific shield does come up a lot more than often. And also the 1 copy of Elder Breath. Once again, just a very pressured trigger, being able to double the power and critical of all your front row units. So along with Gravidia and its own skill, that makes it a very scary card if you're at full power Gravidia to then reveal against your opponent. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, pulling the illustrated version from the Triple Booster inspired me to at least look at the deck and consider a version that didn't run the mass copy. I just find this version to be a lot more fun and a lot more consistent for the Gravidia fans out there. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Qualia out.